Unitarian Universalist Church gathers in person and virtually in these unaccustomed times. Our purpose is to form a community to practice and advance a free and responsible search for truth and meaning as a progressive, open-minded, and inclusive religion. We believe here that we do not have to think alike to love alike. Ours is a faith in action as we do the work of justice and compassion in our quest to live ethically, recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of all. We welcome those who come in the spirit of love. You are welcomed here this morning. Our speaker this morning is Reverend Melanie Morel-Ensminger. She was ordained into UU ministry in February of 1993 during First Church New Orleans' 140th anniversary. Since then, she has served UU churches in Tennessee, New Zealand, and New Jersey. Back home in Louisiana since 2007, she has served First Church North Shore and Hammond congregations. Semi-retired since the New Orleans GA, Melanie works with our home Universalist Unitarian Church. How could I stumble over that name? I used to be there as well. Our home Universalist Unitarian Church, and now Community Church on a part-time basis. Melanie is married to Eric, a professional trumpet worker, working with a professional trumpet player. They have 2 adult children, 1 teenage grandson. She's happy to be working with us during this transition time as a part-time minister and serving as the pastoral minister for the needs of our congregation during this time of transition. We welcome Reverend Melanie to our congregation this morning. Welcome. Worship Committee is very happy to have her here, as I know many of you are, as you've told us. It is Community Church's custom to light a candle invoking hope and eternal truth into our worship. Please join as you can in singing the words that we normally sing. Perhaps you have them memorized. We light this flame to affirm the light of truth and knowledge, the warmth of love and community, the fire of hope and commitment. At this time in our service, it's always a delight to pause for our Words for All Ages. CCUU's religious director, Cynthia Ramirez, brings us these words.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's that time of year. I'm going to bring you the 12 days of Christmas in Louisiana. Because you know we have to celebrate everything. On the first day of Christmas, my cousin gave to me a pelican in a cypress tree. On the second day of Christmas, my cousin gave to me 2 baby gators and a pelican in a cypress tree. The third day of Christmas, my cousin gave to me 3 marsh ducks, 2 baby gators, and a pelican in a cypress tree. On the fourth day of Christmas, my cousin gave to me 4 riverboats, 3 marsh ducks, 2 baby gators, and a pelican in a cypress tree. On the 5th day of Christmas, my cousin gave to me, of course, 5 golden horns, 4 riverboats, 3 marsh ducks, 2 baby gators, and a pelican in a cypress tree. On the 6th day of Christmas, my cousin gave to me 6 ghosts a-spookin', 5 golden horns, 4 riverboats, 3 marsh ducks, 2 baby gators, and a pelican in a cypress tree. On the 7th day of Christmas, my cousin gave to me 7 secret treasures, 6 ghosts a-spookin', 5 golden horns, 4 riverboats, 3 marsh ducks, 2 baby gators, and a pelican in a cypress tree. On the 8th day of Christmas, my cousin gave to me 8 bottles of hot sauce, 7 secret treasures, 6 ghosts a-spookin', 5 golden horns, 4 riverboats, 3 marsh ducks, 2 baby gators, and a pelican in a cypress tree. On the 9th day of Christmas, my cousin gave to me 9 Cajun crawfish, 8 bottles of hot sauce, 7 secret treasures, 6 ghosts a-spookin', 5 golden horns, 4 riverboats, 3 marsh ducks, 2 baby gators, and a pelican in a cypress tree. On the 10th day of Christmas, my cousin gave to me 10 frogs a-leapin', 9 Cajun crawfish, 8 bottles of hot sauce, 7 secret treasures, 6 ghosts a-spookin', 5 golden horns, 4 riverboats, 3 marsh ducks, 2 baby gators, and a pelican in a cypress tree. On the 11th day of Christmas, my cousin gave to me 11 bees a-buzzin', 10 frogs a-leapin', 9 Cajun crawfish, 8 bottles of hot sauce, 7 secret treasures, 6 ghosts a-spookin', 5 golden horns, 4 riverboats, 3 marsh ducks, 2 baby gators, and a pelican in a cypress tree. On the 12th day of Christmas, my cousin gave to me 12 strands of sparkles, 11 bees a-buzzin', 10 frogs a-sleepin', 9 Cajun crawfish, 8 bottles of hot sauce, 7 secret treasures, 6 ghosts a-leapin', 5 golden horns, 4 riverboats, 3 marsh ducks, 2 baby gators, and a pelican in a cypress tree. Laissez bon temps rouler, y'all.
So sadly, I realize I skipped the announcements, and so we need to pause right now because we have some very important announcements. The first one I want to make is on December the 19th, membership is having a light lunch of pizza after church for those of you who are new to CCUU, if you're considering membership or not, if you just want to know more about our congregation, we'd love for you to attend. If you would RSVP to membership at CCUUNOLA.org. We'd appreciate it. We'd love to see you, December the 19th. Also, our board president, Kathy Larimer, has a couple of important messages.
Good morning. Next Sunday, immediately after service, we'll have our congregational meeting. We'll have it both in person and virtually. There is a bylaw change proposed, and that has been sent out to everyone. So I hope you've had a chance to take a look at that. Also, we have completed our Stewardship Drive, and thank you to all of those who gave very generously. However, we've only reached 90% of our goal, which was a decrease from last year, knowing that this was going to be a tough year. So we are roughly about $30,000 less than what we have been. And as we are preparing to do a ministerial search, we are considering whether we should have a full-time minister or a part-time minister. So if anyone has any real input to that, please let me know after the service, or you can email me at president@ccuunola.org. The board is going to vote Tuesday night to make a decision on that, so we only have a couple of days for that consideration. Thank you.
And it's certainly not too late for you to make a pledge. Or increase it, that's right. Thank you, Reverend Melanie. The message of Advent and its wreath is preparation and waiting in the expectation of the coming of the Son, the Nativity. Similarly, people throughout time have waited for the coming of the Eshuin, its solstice, and the promise of warmer days. Advent is a time of paradoxes, of the fullness of life. The first candle we'll light this morning is the candle of love. No love is strong without the paradox or the experience of loss. Let us contemplate that as we light the first candle. Reverend Melanie has a reading.
One of the things I learned during my internship with the Reverend Ken McLean was I should never tell a congregation something that they could read in their order of service. Well, you don't have an order of service, so I'm going to be telling you some things. Our adventure meditation comes from an old meditation manual by the UUA back in the 1980s. This is Call to Adventure Part 1 by Kathy Fusen-Hurt. It starts out quite simply, as complex things often do. We rise one morning at the usual time, we dress, eat breakfast, and set out for work in the usual way. We do our usual job, and then return home as usual And so it usually goes. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, world without end. But not this time. Today, something is different. In the middle of our work, for no particular reason, we wonder why, and everything changes. Why am I doing this? Why should I worry about their opinion? Why am I not eager to get home in the evenings? Why do we have nuclear weapons? Why do I feel so restless? Why is that side of town so poor? Why do people have to die? The universe shifts when we ask why. Things do not look the same after the why question. Although we may go on with our usual routine, it will not feel usual anymore because that why has intruded. Wondering why, reflecting on the meaning of what we do, indicates that our lives are about to move in a new direction. When the old familiar patterns have been outgrown or broken, when the time comes for crossing a threshold and entering a new existence, the question why appears. Having once asked why, it is difficult to keep on with our accustomed ways because that why hints at the possibility of something more than the usual. Like a siren, the why calls us to an adventure. Let us enter together into a brief time of silence, remembering all the important why questions that we have asked ourselves, and reflecting on all the times that our lives have taken a different turn, the times when we answered the call to adventure.
As we have just been reminded, Community Unitarian Universalist Church is a self-sustaining congregation. The generosity of members and friends enables this congregation to fulfill its purpose in doing the sacred work of bringing justice, spirituality, and compassion to our community and beyond. You can make donations online at CCUUNOLA/CCUUNOLA.org/stewardship, or by texting 504-370-2659. Enter GIVE, G-I-V-E, and you'll be prompted. You can, of course, always mail a check to 6690 Fleur-de-Lis Drive in New Orleans, 70124. The congregation is invited to put their gifts in the offering dish. Your support is always appreciated. In this time in our service, we continue to weave together the fabric of our community as we take this opportunity to share a sorrow or a joy with one another. You are invited to come forward and speak into the mic if you'd like, or if you would desire a card, Marilyn has some she would give you if you'd like to fill them out. If you're online, if you put your concern or joy in the chat box, we will try to read it. Would somebody check it for me? Thank you, Amy. I have a couple. I see Jim has one there. I'm actually not sure when this card was put up here, but I think it's important, so I'd like to read it. Liz sends her love and appreciates the kindness, compassion, and support that she has received from this beloved community. And even though she has been unable to attend church in person, she keeps you all in her heart. She asks that you please send out prayers, good thoughts, and positivity on Tuesday morning when she will be undergoing yet another surgery for her chronic pain. Hopefully this time will be successful and the last one. Thank you. And that's certainly our prayer this morning, Liz, whether you had your surgery last Tuesday or this Tuesday. Last Tuesday, okay, thank you. This one is from Lizzie. Her daughter and family are going to move outside of Louisiana in January to a better job. Good for them, but I now have all three of my children and all my grandchildren living out of state. And let's see, where to go, and nowhere to go when a hurricane hits Illinois, Georgia, and Tennessee. Yes, it's lovely to have our grandchildren close by. Jim and Vera write, the joy of being able to gather with family for Thanksgiving. I know many of us second that joy. I'm waiting just a minute and see if there's something else online.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dale Hunter. I'm a visitor here for the first time today. My girlfriend brought me. I live a couple of houses down the street, and I've been wanting to come here and just to encourage you how God or the universe works in our lives. Is that I just told my girlfriend, I said, we can leave now. I got what I needed. Just for the reading this morning. More than you realize, just touched my heart. That's where I'm at. And you're reading in the 12 days of Christmas. So you were reading, I said, why she's doing that? And I heard the Spirit say, it's for you. Because for me, this time of season is very important. It's a joy of my life usually. And Christmas was a special time in our families' lives. And 12 days of Christmas is where we closed our family time. Usually it took us an hour to sing because we were laughing so much. And just Spirit was reminding me how important family is again at this time as you was reading it. And so it's just a joy for me to be here this morning and be with your congregation. And it's just, I just feel the love here already. And I just would say it's, you know, each moment of every part of the service, and the Spirit just speaks to us one little thing to get us along to the next moment. We know that they're with us. And so she was saying, go up and speak. And so I said, so I don't know if you wanted to come up and say something. So it's just the first time she's been in this side of the church too. So thank you. Thank you.
Apparently there are none online, but Bill hands me a card reminding us that our pianist, Nicholas Yader, had a ruptured appendix and had surgery last week. He is slowly getting better and looks forward to seeing everyone soon. So we certainly send him our love and prayers. Cynthia will now light for us a candle for those joys that have remained silent within your hearts and for those sorrows that seem a little too hard to share at the moment. Reverend Melanie has another lovely reading, I'm sure.
This is the second reading from Kathy Fusen-Hurt. This is Call to Adventure, Part 2. One person's life is exciting and eventful, while another person only knows a flat series of routines. Fate may account for the difference in experiences if one is willing to believe in an essentially unfair, unequal universe. For those who deny an ordered existence, chance and coincidence provide a sufficient explanation. More suggestive, and maybe even more likely, is the thesis that differing perspectives on the self and the world result in a varying kind and quality of life experience. Because we live in a time when so much that happens immediately acquires earth-shattering, mind-blowing, far-reaching dimensions. I'm sorry about the mic, I can't make it stop reverbing like that. It is tempting to disregard the incidents in our lives that don't appear in a monumental fashion. And this especially happens with any sort of call to adventure. Only an earth-shattering, mind-blowing, far-reaching event or experience, such as the vision of an angel or the voice of God in a whirlwind, only that gets called a call to adventure. The problem with that is that it becomes self-defeating. For all but a select few of us, life rarely attains the earth-shattering, mind-blowing, far-reaching heights. Our days unfold on a modest scale that cannot hope to meet the lofty requirements for being a call to adventure. The individual who finds many calls to adventure in their life probably has discovered an alternative perspective similar to the one enjoyed by children, which casts ordinary experiences in a strange and wonderful light. Such an individual doesn't require earth-shattering, mind-blowing, far-reaching occurrences in order to know a call to adventure, for they have the ability to see the adventurous potential that lies hidden inside every occurrence at all times. Ordinary experiences like a conversation with a friend, a hymn sung at Sunday, or bathing the baby may disclose an element of mystery when viewed in this light. If it has been a long time since we heard a call to adventure, even so long that we can't remember when one last came for us, look around right now. All about us, born on the wind, are the seeds of new, richly adventurous experiences. What is required of us in order for these seeds to grow are eyes willing to see them. So ends our reading this morning. Our sermon, our service, is on an adventure. On the Christian calendar, the 4 Sundays of Advent are supposed to symbolize the 4,000 years of Jewish people waiting for the coming of the Anointed One who would bring peace and justice. Put aside right now the fact that the Jewish people are still waiting for the Messiah, okay? Advent means the coming or arrival of something desired or important. It is derived from the French avenir, which means arrival, and it's related etymologically to the word adventure. Anyone who has ever endured a long car trip with small children know what an adventure that can be. The trip is punctuated with regular whines of, "Are we there yet?" Advent calendars, with their entertaining ways of making the days pass before Christmas, were probably invented by some overburdened medieval parent at their wits' end with the constant, "How many more days now till Christmas?" But we adults, we don't like waiting either. We're just not as open about it, or usually not as whiny as children. Some of us work while we wait, bent over laptops or smartphones. Some of us get frustrated and angry and end up as an internet meme. Others of us get bored. A dramatic example of people trying to cope with the stress of waiting is the play Waiting for Godot. 2 people wait and wait for a third person who never shows up. At one point, one character cries out to the other, "I can't go on like this." And the second character goes, "That's what you think." Adventure and waiting. These are the 2 themes of Advent, but they also could be the 2 themes for Community Church UU right now, during this transition period. You're on an adventure, a journey of unknown length and uncertain outcome. Your congregation cannot achieve your goal right away, so patience is necessary. A few CCUU folks might be thinking, "We can't go on like this," but of course you have to. Adventure and waiting might also be the themes of my spiritual life, which I want to tell you a little about this morning. As you go through this time of anticipated change, however long it takes, and it takes as long as it takes, I believe it's a really good thing for us within the CCUU community to share stories of our spiritual adventures with one another, because sharing stories with our fellow adventurers builds community. My adventure started in Chalmette. I am the first child of a New Orleans union organizer and civil rights activist and his Yankee Italian wife. And yeah, my dad did refer to her that way jokingly. Feeling like with their activities, their children might need protective cover, my parents raised all 4 of us children as Catholics, even though neither one of them practiced. And I learned, first lesson, you cannot pass a religion to your children that you do not practice. While in Catholic grade school, I experienced several instances of being chosen. As a first grader, I was picked to memorize a short speech to welcome the kindergarten class to their next educational step. I can still recite it. And in second grade, I was selected to crown the statue of Our Lady of Prompt Succor, the patron saint of New Orleans, on her special feast day on May Day. This chosen feeling persisted during twice weekly masses, when during communion, during the consecration, I would get this weird feeling that I should be doing what the priest was doing. I learned really quickly not to tell anybody I felt that way, because it was really a great way to become the butt of constant jokes, whether it was kids or adults. In high school, I joined a progressive Catholic reform movement allowed by Pope John XXIII, which permitted non-parish-based congregations and for the laity to be involved in crafting non-traditional liturgies. This fed my calling. I responded deeply to these new contemporary masses, but then with a new pope, the experiment collapsed and the whole thing was shut down. In college, I was not religious at all. I had absorbed just enough Catholic teaching to think I had left the one true church, so there must not be anything else, right? I channeled my sense of calling into social justice, protesting the war in Vietnam, feminism, racial justice, healthcare inequities, and forming close ties and community with this small group of New Orleanians who shared my values and ideals. We mourned our losses and celebrated our victories in ways that almost but not quite satisfied my spiritual longings. After college, I got a job in downtown New Orleans, but I was still active in the causes I believed in. Through my volunteer work with the local health systems agency in the early 1980s, I met a man who was the attorney for Baptist Hospital. We fell in love and had our son, Stephen. And again, the old spiritual call to adventure came back to me, only this time it was disguised as concern for my son. We needed a church for the baby. So we decided to look at a church every Sunday until we found the right one. On the first Sunday, we just crossed the street and went to St. Stephen's Catholic Church because it was so convenient and because we loved hearing the bells. But that wasn't it. The second Sunday, after much discussion, we decided to try the church where I had arranged for Dutch Morel to speak during the mayoral campaign, and where my spouse had heard anthropologist Ashley Montague give a lecture on gender and race during his undergrad days. That second church we went to was First UU Church. We never did get to a third church. I've told this story to the board, but I want to tell it to all of you. One thing I want to emphasize was that my emotions on first finding Unitarian Universalism were a perfect admixture of relief and regret tinged with anger. I was so relieved that what I thought was the religion I made up in my head turned out to be a real thing. But I was also upset that this church, this religion, had been in my city, my hometown, since 1833, and I knew nothing about it. Keep that in mind as you move forward. We do no favors keeping liberal religion a secret. People need to know that we exist and that we are here. There's folks who need to know. Oh man, I threw myself into involvement at the church, volunteering as coffee host, teaching Sunday school, selling Christmas trees, serving on the board. And then the church announced that they'd be hiring a church administrator, a brand new position needing a person with organizational skills and people skills. And fresh off my stint as a retail store manager at Canal Place, I applied and was hired. Beyond clerical work, the job involved dealing with members of the congregation, sometimes in crisis, planning the worship calendar with the minister, being the newsletter editor, and with the minister putting together the weekly order of service, and lots of mimeographing. It was an adventure, and I reveled in it. It was the best job I had ever had. The minister began jokingly referring to me as the assistant minister. Two big things happened in 1987. I was part of the first Cakes for the Queen of Heaven group at the church, and it awakened in me the latent paganism that I believe all New Orleanians share. And I attended the very first Woman's Spirit gathering at the mountain, the UU camp in North Carolina. And there, on top of Little Scaly Mountain, the call to adventure grabbed me, and this time wouldn't let go. I came home and I told everyone that I wanted to be a Unitarian Universalist minister. And I got, surprising to me, positive feedback. In 1989, the UUA Department of Ministry finally approved my attending Loyola University Institute for Ministry as my seminary. My time there was arduous and exciting and caused me to release long-held bitterness against the Catholic Church and opened my eyes to American-influenced Buddhism. To my surprise, I was selected to intern at Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Church in Bethesda, Maryland, just outside DC. And I spent January to June in 1991 learning how to be a UU minister from two of the best in our denomination. Right before I left on my internship, my beloved father died. And while I was still in Maryland, months later, my mother died. Just around Easter, my son's father called me on the phone to tell me he wanted a divorce. It was not exactly the adventure I would have chosen for myself. But it's not like the children's book. We don't get to choose our own adventure. I came home and I graduated with honors from Loyola in December of 1992. I was ordained by First Church during the week of the church's anniversary. And since then, I've served the UU Church in Chattanooga for 9 years. I spent my sabbatical in India and New Zealand, during which time I was reminded that the struggle against white supremacy and injustice is a worldwide struggle. And then I served the UU Church of Cherry Hill, New Jersey for 5 years. I sometimes say that Katrina blew up that ministry. I came home to New Orleans in 2007. I was spiritually devastated by Katrina, but I know that many of you were physically devastated by Katrina. And now here I am, rounding out my service to the New Orleans area UU churches by this extremely part-time ministry with CCUU. All of my ministries have been informed by an urban sensibility, a feminist anti-racism lens, an emphasis on organizational development, dedication to social justice, and a commitment to deepening UU worship. I have taught worship at UU leadership schools both in the Southeast and the Southwest for many years during my active years of ministry. When I am asked to describe my personal spirituality, I usually say that I'm a liberal Christian, humanist, pagan, Buddhist, but not always in that order. So here we are, you and I, at the start of Advent, at the start of our shared transitional ministry. It is an adventure that we are on together. It may not have been the one you would have chosen. I am eager to get to know you, eager for you to know me as your minister, and eager to be of whatever assistance I can be with you on this journey. Don't hesitate to call on me with questions or concerns. I am here for you, even on a limited time basis. Let us adventure together. Because really, it's not like we have a choice. Amen, Ashe, Shalom, Salam, Namaste, blessed be. I'm going to go right to benediction. All right. The season of Advent, more than any other time of the church year, invites us to embrace the spiritual discipline of waiting. The season will not be rushed. The carols must be sung, the candles must be lighted each week by week, and the doors of the Advent calendar must be opened day by day. Each stage of human life involves some new form of waiting. But if we welcome waiting as a spiritual discipline, waiting will present its spiritual gifts if we are conscious enough and courageous enough to name them and live into them. And I don't get credit for writing that. That's from the 7 Spiritual Gifts of Waiting by Holly Whitcomb. Let us, in this time at Community Church, be conscious enough and courageous enough to name and integrate the gifts from this spiritual adventure of waiting. Our service here is ended, but service in the wider world remains for us a continuing responsibility and an ever-renewing source of joy. Go from here and make peace.